Well, good afternoon. This is Father Fish, and I'd like us to get back to basics. Now, how basic can you get? How far back can you go? The very first people to keep little fish were probably cave dwellers 50,000 years ago. More recently, the Greeks and the Romans kept fish. They had ponds, and they kept fish for eating in their ponds. Much more recently, in the 1800s, people kept fish that they collected at the beach or by the lake, brought them home, put them in a decorative little tank, or maybe just a glass jar, kept them for a week or so, and then took them back. More recently, we have developed an industry for people who keep and collect fish. There are thousands of species of fish available to the local hobbyists. But let's get back to basics. What is the most basic little aquarium that you can set up? Well, it comes out of your backyard, out of that little ditch maybe in your front yard, out of a lake or pond that you go to for fishing or swimming, out of the beach that you visit occasionally. It comes from where you enjoy recreation, in nature, in the wild. So the idea then is to collect a few, and by that I mean a few species, a few animals from a few species each, bring them back and learn how to keep them alive. Now that's really a pretty simple thing to do. You start out with a tank. Anything will do. Anything that holds water. Doesn't matter how big or how little. It can be a jar, or it can be a swimming pool. It can be any size at all. It doesn't matter. The first and most important step is to put something in the bottom of your container that resembles what is in the bottom of the body of water where you're collecting your fish. It may be sand, it may be dirt, it may be little pebbles, whatever it is, put that in your tank first. And then if your container is small enough, you can carry water back and use the water that the animals that you collect are living in. If it's bigger, then you need to use your own water. When you do that, don't worry so much about whether your fish are going to survive in your water. If you have water provided by a city or county, then you almost certainly have chlorine in the water. So it becomes very important to remove that. There are many different chemicals that you can use to take chlorine out of the water. Vitamin C tablets work quite well, actually. The active ingredient that is most commonly used is sodium thiosulfate, which is available in crystalline form online. For a few dollars, you can buy a lifetime supply. I sell lifetime supplies for a few dollars. You can get it on Get Gills. Take the chlorine out of your water. When you adapt your fish to your water, you can do it either quickly or slowly. Quickly simply means floating them in your water until the temperature equalizes, which probably will take about 10 seconds because you're probably already at the same temperature. That's the quick way. The slow way is to put them in a bucket or a container with their own water, and every hour for 2 days, put about a half a cup of your own water into that container. Start taking it out when it gets too full. It takes several days, a very slow, gradual acclimation to genuinely, truly acclimate your fish. The reality is they don't need it. So long as your water is hard and alkaline, with a pH of above 7, 7.5 to 8.0 is preferable, then you can put your fish right in it and they will 99% of the time do just fine. If you run into a problem, contact me. I'll be happy and pleased to help you work through that issue. So, you're out catching little critters, or your 7 and 8-year-old is catching little critters. And you put them in a plastic bag or in a bucket, and you bring them back home. And you set up a small container, put the water in, put some mud or dirt in that you've brought with you, and put the fish in. You can have a filter or not. I recommend sponge filters. They're simple, easy to use, and work very, very effectively. Put a light on it. And if you've been fortunate enough to find plants where your fish came from, then you can plant a few of those plants in your little container. And then sit back and observe. Don't worry about putting food in. They'll find food in that dirt that you brought. There'll be enough there to feed them, probably for the first week or so. In any case, most fish can go without eating very much at all for at least a week, and many fish can go for months with little or no food at all. So don't worry about feeding. The worst thing you can do with this little tank you've started is put food in it every day. That will be sure to foul the water and kill the fish. Guaranteed, it will. For one thing, the fish you're catching don't know what the food is that you're feeding them. So unless you're clever enough to have used a little fine mesh net and caught some copepods or rotifer, or some other microscopic food, they're going to be dependent on what they can find that they're used to eating. You can introduce a flake or two, a pellet or two, or more beneficially, scrape a little shrimp or a little fish from the supermarket, not from your fish tank. Scrape it a little bit, put those scrapings in. They'll like that, and they'll learn to eat it. It's a natural kind of food. But the important thing now is for you to sit back and enjoy. I got an email from a gentleman in England whose name is Lee. And he was very disturbed with me because he said, I stole his hobby. I taught him how to set up a dirted tank with a sand cap. And now he sits there day after day with nothing to do because the tank is utterly stable. So I suggested to him, as I'm going to suggest to you now, that he graduate to level 5 of fish keeping and become a philosopher, a fish philosopher. Study the fish, meditate on the fish, watch them, observe their behavior. One of our fish keepers is known to us as Chevy Fish. Chevy Fish has a remarkable ability to sit in front of a tank for hours and watch the fish and the other little critters in their tank and learn what they're doing and figure it out. As a result, she has been able to maintain and breed hundreds of different kinds of tropical fish. Observe, study these little animals that you have brought home. This hasn't cost you much more than a nickel. The cost of the trip, maybe, but not much more. And you will have hours and hours of enjoyment, learning about all these little critters living in your tank. The tank behind me is our 200-gallon Blackwater tank, and it's set up with just that in mind. We found a big stump, which we put in the middle of it, 2.5, 3 years ago. Put about 6 inches of dirt and sand cap in it. And it's been sitting now for about 3 years. We have some plants growing in it, but we keep introducing all different kinds of fish. I want to show this to you and see if you can identify what's in here. I'm going to shoot down low so I can not have the glare. Now these little guys are pygmy pencil fish. It's a whole school of them. And right above them is a Redford pencil fish. So those are 2 different kinds. Did I hit the wrong button? I did. Lots of tetras. Mostly what we have in here is tetras. We're getting reflection from lights all over the place. Can't get past them. Those are coming from in back of me, which may be in my There's a crab back there. Can you see him? A hermit crab waving his broken claw. It's broken because there's a big one in here that broke it. And there's the big one. Yes. And hermit crab. There also are some vampire shrimp. I do see one. They get on this sponge filter back here. I see kind of the edge of one. I don't know if we're gonna. I don't think we can see it. Right on the side of it. I'll be careful not to drop my camera in the water. So we just keep putting fish in here. These are little green neons. Love the green neons. They're so pretty. And there's a neon, a regular neon. Rosy barbs. Serpate catchers. Lots of serpates. You saw the pencil fish. It's that little rosy barb. There are shrimp in here, but I'm not sure whether they are actually making it because I never see them. Well, okay, so you can see how it's possible to spend hours just looking at everything in here, watching how it's moving and what it's doing. So, I don't know whether, let's see. So this is the idea. Do something that's an expression of your joy. Something that grows out of your recreation, out of your family's recreation. It'll give you an extended vacation, if you will. Kind of a piece of your vacation that you can bring along with you, bring home and maintain and learn from and grow with and thoroughly enjoy. Bye for now. Love you all. Enjoy your natural tank.